Welcome into First Pitch for Friday, June 30th. We have a full MLB slate with big game breakdown and best bets coming to you with three of the best sports betting minds out there. Rob Vino, Tony Finn, Ronald Caban. I am Drew Martin. Guys, make sure to check out WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com for the weekend slate. But getting right into the games, Rob Vino, if you don't mind being our leadoff hitter here, we got the Arizona Diamondbacks and the LA Angels for your big game breakdown. I'm seeing. What do you got circled in this one, Robbie?
Well, we're going to look at the Angels here, Drew, for a couple of reasons, and we're going to shorten it up and go first 5 innings. First off, let's just start with the fact that Corbin Carroll had to be pulled from the game last night. I don't know, it's either a neck or a shoulder, some soreness. I don't think it's anything major, but we're not likely to see him in this lineup tonight for the Diamondbacks. His bat against right-handed pitching has produced 15 home runs. He's hit 17 on the season, 15 against righties, 41 RBIs, and 989 OPS. On the road, he's been strong too. 308 batting average, 974 OPS. It's tough to compensate for that kind of loss in the three-hole in this Arizona lineup. Carroll's been so good, all-star bound most likely. So we're going to take that into consideration here. And second thing we're going to look at is the current trajectory of Angels right-hander Griffin Canning. I mean, his last 6 starts have been good. If you go through his last 6 starts, you'll find 6 innings of 4-hit shutout ball in Coors Field, of all places, last Saturday. Of course, they gave him like 20-something runs of support. Prior to that, 6 innings of 4-hit 1-run ball against the Astros, 7 innings of 2-hit shutout ball against the Red Sox right here in Anaheim. Overall, his last 6 starts, 36 innings pitched, 26 hits, only 6 walks. That's a 0.89 whip. Only 9 earned runs allowed, 10 total. That's a 2.25 ERA, 39 strikeouts in those 36 innings. The K to walk ratio there, 6.5 to 1. Very, very good for Griffin Canning. Since we're shortening this up to a first 5-inning bet, just want to go through those last 6 starts and find that the Angels are 5-1 against the number. First 5 innings in Griffin Canning's last 6 starts. So good numbers all across there for the Angels right-hander. Tommy Henry, the other side. I don't want to diminish what Tommy Henry's done this year, but we will take a close look at his home road splits here in certain categories. He's got a 3-0 road record this year in 5 starts. It's a little bit deceiving, guys. Home ERA for Tommy Henry, 3.5. Road ERA, 5.4. That's a minus 1.9 deficit when he goes on the road. But I think even more important in this matchup, you take a look at the slugging percentage he's allowed and the OPS he's allowed and the differential between home and road. Home slugging percentage, only 393 off Tommy Henry, 547 on the road. That's 154 points higher on the road allowed by Tommy Henry. And where OPS is concerned, that differential is 174 percentage points. You put that up against the Angels lineup, which currently ranks 4th in Major League Baseball in both slugging percentage and OPS. You got Trout, you got Ohtani, Drury, Mickey Moniak, ex-Philly, all of a sudden an extra base hitter for this team, Hunter Renfroe. These guys all sit between like 462 and 666 OPS, or excuse me, slugging percentage. So I think it's a bad matchup here for Tommy Henry. I think the concern that I would have here, you always have a concern when you play these games, but the Diamondbacks have been a quick starting team all season long, 22-14 first 5-inning record so far this year on the road. That's very, very solid. It could be number 1 in Major League Baseball. I don't have that marked in my notes, but I think it is number 1 in MLB. But I'm going to counter that with the arguments that I made prior to this. I think I'm going to counter it with Canning's current form, the Angels lineup matchup versus Tommy Henry. Arizona likely to be missing their best offensive player, and the Angels 5-1 recent first 5-inning record with Canning on the hill. I don't want to use the Angels bullpen in this game. That's why I shortened it up. I don't feel like laying a full 150 playing full game money line. And I don't feel like asking the Angels to win by 2 runs at the end of this game. So we'll, again, make it short, play Canning against Henry, minus half a run first 5 innings, minus 15 cents.
The Italian stallion Robbie Vino, according to the chat box. Ghosted, welcome on in here for the Friday show. Heading down the lineup here to our 2-hole hitter, Tony Finn. Tony, AL East matchup here. The Red Sox ice cold. The Blue Jays starting to turn it around. What are you liking here north of the border?
Well, I really like the ice cold Red Sox in this game tonight. They scored 2 runs in that 3-game series at Fenway Park against the Marlins this weekend. A red hot Marlins team. They've dropped 5 straight after they played some pretty good ball and looked like they were going to fight their way back to from the bottom of that AL East, at least fight their way up. Tough division to be playing in. Can't be losing 5 straight. However, tonight. They're going to send Paxton to the mound. And Paxton, I want to call it Paxton and say, listen, well done. What have you? Where's James, and where'd you tie him up at? Because this guy's striking out over 31% of batters he's facing. He's been dealing with some knee pain, but listen. He has already doubled the number of MLB innings he threw from 20 to 22. The strikeouts, terrific. 3.19 ERA, 3.36 xERA, and it's right in line. It's aligned with his 3.42 FIP over 42 and change innings on the season. This Toronto team has not hit the ball well in this home park, a park they made adjustments to. Guys making it more hitter friendly, more runs, et cetera, et cetera. The fact is that against left-handers, they've hit less home runs. This team, this loaded lineup of the Blue Jays have hit less home runs against left-handed pitching than any team in baseball. Give me the Sox tonight as a small dog up in the formerly known as the Sky Dome.
All right, Tony Finn, good stuff there. Ronald, coming to you next here, 3-hole hitter, and I'm seeing, hey, Tony mentioned the Miami Marlins hot. It's actually the 2 hottest teams in baseball here, the Marlins and the Braves, number 1 and number 2 in the NL East. Ronald, what are you liking in the ATL tonight?
Yeah, I'm kind of looking in 2 directions here, both on the side and on the total here. Both of these teams, like you said, are playing really well right now, both on a 5-game winning streak. If we look at the Marlins first specifically, in their last 30 games, 22-8 straight up, 21-9 on the run line. They're going to be starting Brian Hoeing. He's looked pretty good this season, 1-1 with a 2.31 ERA, but his FIP is a bit higher at 3.56, which is more than a full run greater. That's telling me that there could be some negative regression coming his way. He also has a 5.6% home run to fly ball ratio. That's a significantly lower than what we've seen from him through his minor league career, and definitely what we saw from him like in the little 20, I think it was 12 innings he pitched last season in the majors. Interestingly enough, the Marlins have a better BABIP than the Braves here. They get the hits, they get the players on base, but they just don't do a good job of turning those base runners into runs. They also have they don't possess the power that the Braves have either, who are first in the league in home runs so far this season. On the opposite side, you see the Braves. They've been on an incredible run as well, 20-3 straight up the last 23 games. They're going to be starting Michael Soroka, who he did not look good in his first 2 starts this season. 9.2 innings, ERA of 8.36. His FIP is right there at 8.76. Also a 5-6 K to walk ratio in those 2 starts. So he got sent down for a little bit. Definitely looked better in those minor league starts, but he got called up. This is his first start since getting called up. But just because he looked good in the minors doesn't mean it's going to translate over to a team against a team that has been doing a great job of getting contact on the ball and getting on the base. From a trend perspective, we see 6 of their last 7 matchups have gone over so far this season. The Braves 18-6 to the over at home when favored by more than -155. The average full game margin in average full game combined score in those games 11.1, slightly above the 9.5 that we're seeing on the total. The Marlins also 2-1 straight up, 3-0 to the over. Last 3 games they've seen a total over 9, because we don't typically see a high total in those for the Marlins here. In those 3 games that they saw a total over 9. They scored 10, 6, and 10 respectively. Braves also are obviously one of the best offensive teams in the league, top 5 in almost all major offensive categories. So there isn't much to be said about what they can add to the total from a add-on from the total aspect. But with all that said, I do think that the Marlins do have a shot here to take advantage of Soroka coming back from the minors. My model also says the Marlins have a shot to win this one outright, but the plus 1.5 runs, the run line here is -115. So I think it's a good price to take that. I also think there's going to be a bunch of runs scored on both sides of the ball here, so the over is a good look as well.
Like the breakdown there, Ronald. Bringing in the run line and a little shot here with the Marlins guys. With Soroka making his return after that injury. Huge shout out to the chat box. Everybody joining us live for the Friday show. Sweet James Jones, Chuck Pod in the house, the Godfather as well. All you guys throwing out some plays here. All is welcome in the chat box. Also below in the reply section here. Feel free to chime in what you're looking to bet this weekend, guys, as we do have best bets coming up now. Heading back to the top of the order here. Rob Vino on Twitter at Rob Vino Sports. Check him out, WagerTalk.com. Robbie, any final thoughts for the show? And what are you looking to do with your best bet on the Friday night slate?
Well, let's go to final thoughts for the show. Gee, I don't. Well, let me say this, Drew, real quick here. I'll throw a promo in there because Major League Baseball has been very, very good the last 5 weeks, to me at least. I think we're up about 32 units of profit here. It's been a little over 60% winning percentage and close to 20% ROI. So baseball's been good. Had a couple of setbacks, a couple of days this week, some tough losses, good pitching performances, tough losses. But overall, last 5 weeks, baseball's been rolling. And I think on the year, producing like 23 or 24 units overall for the season. So good stuff out of Major League Baseball. Looking to continue that here tonight. We'll go to the best bet now. And, I remember doing an early show with you, Drew, first pitch, where we were talking about futures and, somewhere to the effect you said, sorry, Kansas City, you just don't have a very good baseball team this year. I think you were playing a futures bet under. Yeah. Well, you were right? They just don't have a very good baseball team this year. And sometimes, as much as I like to come on here and try and be ultra smart and come up with sometimes you just have to go with the obvious stuff. And this is the obvious stuff, the low-hanging fruit, so to speak. Dodgers, full game run line is where I'm going with this one. You have a Major League Baseball upper echelon club. Kansas City's a Major League Baseball bottom feeder. Obviously, everybody knows that. The road team here is the better team, and the full game run line price, although it's been bumped a little bit since we sent these plays in earlier today. I think it's gone from 35 cents to 40 cents full game run line price. It's still in a reasonable range for this particular matchup. I'll start with the Royals, and maybe I would have liked to have Jordan Lyles here even more, Drew, but he can't pitch because he's scratched here tonight. He's sick. Line might have been even higher if Jordan Lyles was on the hill, but we're going to get right-hander Alec Marsh for the Kansas City Royals. It's his first Major League Baseball start. Depending upon which scouting report you read, you'll find that he's either their number 11 ranked prospect in the system or their number 14. He spent most of his time the last couple of years in Double-A. He was recently promoted to Triple-A, where he had a 2.40 ERA. But let's look at what he actually has as far as pitching repertoire is concerned. Throws in the mid-90s. Throws a 4-seam, 2-seam fastball. The 2-seamer is more of a sinker. Curve, slider, changeup. The exact percentages of those pitches as he comes to the major leagues remains unseen. Got some strikeout ability. Showed it in the minors. But here's a pitcher who's had control issues and who gives up a lot of hard hit contact. And that's troublesome, just like I talked about with the Angel breakdown earlier. That's troublesome against the Dodgers lineup. I mean, you look at the top 4 in LA's lineup. You don't want to have control issues, put these guys on base, and you don't want to have hard hit contact issues with these guys. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, JD Martinez, Will Smith. I won't bore you with all their individual numbers and how good their slugging and OPS is, but I will tell you that the Dodger team, number 5 right now in Major League Baseball in slugging percentage and OPS. You have to believe that they'll get their shots against this right-hander today. Their offense right now is rolling. Some of that due to Coors Field, right? Because that's where they just came from. But they have scored 5+ in 5 consecutive games. Again, this is just a tough matchup for a kid making his first major league start. You don't really want to come in against this lineup. Could be a pitch count involved here. With Marsh, which would put the Kansas City Royals middle relief in play, which is not a good thing either. I'll switch over real quick to the Dodgers right-hander Bobby Miller, who actually had gotten off to a great start, but he'd been slammed in his last couple of outings. San Francisco and Houston both got him good, both got him at home. Really, the problems weren't velocity they were more location and tough count spots. And he got hit. And manager Dave Roberts said, you know what, he's young. It's going to happen. He'll learn from it. He gets the benefit of having this Kansas City lineup here tonight. But if you look at the previous 4 outings before Bobby Miller got hit hard, I mean, he had a 0.78 ERA and a 0.83 whip in 23 innings. And those opponents weren't easy opponents. He pitched against the Phillies, the Yanks, Washington, and at Atlanta, and posted those type numbers, 0.78 ERA. That's good stuff. So I think that against this lineup here, Kansas City, which owns a 295 on base percentage, second worst in Major League Baseball, 666 OPS, third worst in Major League Baseball. Bobby Miller in that 99-mile-an-hour fastball should find a few strikeouts here against a KC team that strikes out regularly against right-handed pitching. They're the 5th worst strikeout team percentage-wise in Major League Baseball. Dodgers bullpen, I'm playing full game run line here, so we're going to need to look at the pens. Dodger bullpen rested off of that 14-3 cruise control victory last night in Colorado. The Royals bullpen, you start getting the middle arms involved, like I said earlier, which aren't good to begin with, but their 3 best arms, if you want to call them their best arms, including Aroldis Chapman, if any of those guys have to go, it's going to be their 3rd outing in 4 nights. I seldom like that. Chances are guys get a little bit fatigued and give up a little bit. So I think the bullpen edge goes to the Dodgers. The offensive matchup edge goes to the Dodgers. I'm going to play them here, -1.5 runs, and we'll go with the current price, Drew. Like I say, earlier I got it at -35 cents, but now I see -40 just about everywhere.
Yeah, Robbie, a little keeping it simple here. And you brought up the Kansas City Royals early in the season. I think their season win total was 69.5. I believe that's what I got it at. It is trending there. We'll see if they can turn it around. And the keep it simple. I remember our old friend Aaron Renning, one of the guys I learned from in terms of how I handicap. That was one of his things. Just go after it, how it pops out. So great analysis there, Rob. Hope you have a great weekend, buddy. Heading to our 2-hole hitter here, Tony Finn. Do you want to Tony buy some? Tony, throw it over to you, man. Any final thoughts for the show, and where you heading for best bets?
Final thoughts. I have tonight. I'm on a nice little run. I think 11-2 last 4 days, so picked up about 30 units. I've hit 3 straight same game parlays. So I'll have my same game parlay of the night. Tonight I have a Dead Presidents report as well. You can get me only one place, WagerTalk.com. You're already there. Tonight I'm going to talk about the game very briefly that Rob just talked about. Bobby Miller for the Dodgers going up against a Royals team that, hey, listen, they're a top 5, top 6 team in hard contact. They can't cluster hits. They can't bunch hits. They can't score runs. And they can't pitch. Makes it tough to win games. And they strike out an awful lot. Bobby Miller has seen his stock fall recently. This due to following the 4 turns in the rotation that were over the top. I mean, stupid good isn't an exaggeration. As Rob mentioned, versus the Braves, Yankees, Phillies, and Nats. Those 4 outings for the Chavez Ravine gang. Miller surrendered only 2 earned runs, striking out 23 against 7 walks. The Dodgers went 3-1 in those 4 games. Miller took 2 decisions, a perfect 2-0 mark. Now, he did struggle in the last 2. And he hasn't taken, the behemoths, the college football behemoths non-conference route and been pitching against the Kansas City's, Detroit's, White Sox of the world. There's a pretty good group of hitters. Even the Nats have been a better hitting team this year than I thought they were going to be. So throw in Houston, throw in San Francisco. Last 2 starts weren't very good. This is a pretty easy opponent. I was surprised to see. I actually saw 5.5 strikeouts for Bobby Miller, and I had 6.5 right now, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, I saw it go bump up 6.5. But I will say this, and that is that regardless of the umpire, and I'd like to know the umpire, we'll know him pretty soon, and I will add it to the free pick I have with them, and that is he's going to strike. This Kansas City team strikes out almost 30% of the time, 30% of their at bats, and they're worse against right-handed pitchers. What's Bobby Miller throw from? The right side. Give me Bobby Miller over his strikeout total. Should be 5.5 or 6.5. If it's 5.5, you're probably going to lay some heavy juice, probably about 150. Get 6.5, you're probably going to be at a pick, a minus 115.
Tony Finn with the K prop here for his best bet. We got some questions in the chat box. Petrex box saying, what is first pitch bet? Yeah, that you're betting on what the actual first pitch is, a ball or a strike. You can do that at most sports books. So that I think that answers your question. City by the Bay saying, who makes the World Series this year? Thanks for the tip, City, by the way, in the chat box. So feel free to go with that, Ronald. Who makes the World Series? I probably would just go with chalk there, City. If you made me pick right now, I would say the Tampa Bay Rays and the Atlanta Braves for the AL and the NL there. But hey, Ronald, I'll throw it over to you. Guys, check them out, WagerTalk.com. Any final thoughts for the show, and where are you heading for best bet, Ronald?
Yeah, final thoughts here. Just ever since the NBA, a lot of people know me from the NBA side and basketball in general. But since the NBA Finals has finished, I've been really focused on the MLB and WNBA created model and all that stuff here. I talk about it on Twitter, so if you guys follow me on there, you can kind of see the examples that I've created with my model. But I think last 12 days or so, hitting 62% in the MLB. On the money line side specifically, because I play some dogs there, 41% ROI during that same time frame. So a lot of things going well here for me in the MLB. And today is also the last day for the promo code that they set up for me, Kabang 299 for the remainder of the season through the World Series for 299. Again, that's the last day is today. We got that done after I hit the 5%er on Tuesday on $2 Tuesday. So hopefully you guys like my breakdowns and head over to WagerTalk to grab that promo there. As far as the best bet today, I'm going to I like playing ugly games, so I see the Rockies and the Tigers here. Starting off with the Rockies, they're going to be starting Gomber. He's pretty much struggled this season. 7.01 ERA, 1.61 WHIP in 77 innings pitched. His FIP is not too far off either, 6.28, telling me that these terrible numbers are actually sustainable for Gomber here. He's given up 2.22 home runs per 9 innings. His 20.7% home run to fly ball ratio is tough here, especially when they're playing in cores. When Gomber starts, though, the Rockies tend to play down to their opponents. Rockies 2-6 straight up and on the run line when facing teams under 500 when Gomber starts. On the opposite side here, we got the Tigers, obviously not that much better of a team here, but they're going to be starting Michael Lorenzen. He had a great start to the season. The Tigers won 5 of his first 8 starts, but since then they lost 5 straight. But situationally, this is a spot that I feel like he performs well in. He's been a favorite 3 times so far this season. He's given up only 1 earned run in those 3 starts. Tigers aren't favored often either. They've only been favored 9 times. 6-3 straight up and on the run line as well. So both of the trends that I've mentioned so far say that the Tigers, if they're going to win this game, they're going to probably win by margin. Lorenzen also, he has pretty good control here. He does tend to give up home runs, but the good thing is they're playing the Rockies, who are 28th in the league in home runs. And that's pretty telling because they're already at Coors Field, where it is a hitter's park, obviously. They should be a lot better than that from the home run perspective. From a trends and angles perspective, one guy that I want to keep an eye on here on the Tiger side is the youngster Spencer Torkelson. I think he a lot of people had some, were thinking he's going to break out earlier on in his rookie year and even early on in this season. But he's got 3 home runs in his last 2 games that he's played. Now he's in another hitter-friendly park against another pitcher who gives up a ton of home runs. I think this might be a momentum shifter for him to get him going in the right direction, because he's been sort of, I would say, a little bit of a bust ever since he's come out to the league here. Another thing to mention, the Rangers threw 3 starting lefties at the Tigers in the last series. Tigers ended up winning 2 of those games outright. They put up 7 runs and 8 runs respectively in those 2 wins. So they've been seeing lefties recently, and I could see this type of game, this type of success from the Tigers offense against Gomber here. So my best bet is the Tigers money line minus 120. The trends also, like I mentioned earlier, they do point towards the Tigers. If they're gonna win, they will win by margin. The Rockies also have the second worst run differential in the league at minus 138. So I wouldn't be able to talk anyone off of the Tigers run line at plus 120 if you're looking for a plus money play there.
All right, I'll follow up you, Capper. Good breakdown there, buddy. My best bet, guys, I'm going on the Baltimore Orioles minus 111 right now, risk 111 to win 100, slight home favorites here. And they're up against the Minnesota Twins. Guys, throwing Pablo Lopez. His last decision win was back in the month of May. He really hasn't been pitching all that well. And the Minnesota Twins, yeah, first place, but 40-42, under 500. They just got swept in Atlanta, scoring 3 runs in 3 games. So their bats are cold right now. And they're up against Dean Kramer here, which his full season numbers aren't all that great, Shakes, but his last 3 starts, more recently, 18 strikeouts to just 3 walks with a 3 ERA. So he's throwing the ball better. Baltimore plus 13 units on the season. Minnesota minus 8 units on the season. Like to be betting the teams that are cashing tickets and look to fade the teams that are not. We get that situation here. And lastly here, guys, on the O's, 27-13 versus teams under 500. So that situation in effect right now. It's floppy hat night in Camden Yards tonight, so should be a good crowd on a Friday night. All that put me on the Orioles. Minus 111 is the short home favorites. Look to make it 6 straight here, guys. 5 straight best bet winners. Look to end it on a bang. I say end it. This is my last time hosting for First Pitch. Starting in July, I'm going to be an analyst here. So from time to time, come back and join us. Just wanted to say, love growing the show here, guys. The live chat box, everybody chiming in below in the reply section means a lot. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So thanks for tuning in today, this week, this season. It's been a lot of fun here for the MLB season. And again, guys, hopefully cash this ticket on the best bet. So for Rob Vino, Tony Finn, Ronald Kabang, I am Drew Martin. Check them out, WagerTalk.com. That does it for the Friday show. Happy Friday. Have a fun, safe weekend, and be back on Monday. Thanks for tuning in.